SpectrumTv, broadening your horizon.
Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 4. I am Francis Idiot coming to you live from the beautiful hills of KADUNA-ABUJA. Let's take a look at the headlines. Buhari receives South African President Ramaphosa in Abuja. Field epidemiologist Asanga makes case for gender equality to end AIDS. President Joe Biden marks World AIDS Day with plans to eradicate the disease. Details of these stories and more in a moment. First in the news is a report that President Muhammadu Buhari has received President of South Africa Cyril Ramaphosa at the State House in Abuja. The South African president, who is accompanied by a delegation of ministers and business leaders, is on a state visit expected to reinforce South Africa's bilateral relations with Nigeria, as well as strengthen bilateral partnership directed at African development and cooperation in multilateral fora. Ramaphosa's four-nation visit to the West African region, which also looks to advance trade and investment between the two countries, coincides with the 10th session of the Nigeria-South Africa Binational Commission. Meanwhile, the federal government has commenced the enforcement of mandatory vaccination against COVID-19 at the Federal Secretariat. The exercise took place early today as security manned the main entrance to the Federal Secretariat, where they demanded vaccination card or evidence of negative PCR test before allowing the civil servants entry to the Secretariat. According to reports made available, some of the unvaccinated civil servants questioned the federal government's decision, saying COVID-19 vaccination should not be made compulsory, but a matter of choice. To the Green Chambers now, where House of Representative members blocked a bill which seeks to allow Nigerians to sue government for failure. The bill was blocked from being passed for a second reading after its sponsor, Segus Ogun, led deliberations on it during plenary on Wednesday, November 24, 2021. The bill sought the Constitution to allow the judiciary entertain lawsuits from Nigerians hoping to take the government to tax for failing to provide basic necessities for citizens. Mohammed Munguno, in his contribution, said he supported the spirit of the bill but was against enforcing it. The lawmaker cautioned that passing the bill would create chaos, as the government cannot realistically be expected to provide for all citizens always, adding that any act of failure or neglect on the part of the government will make the government liable. A majority of the lawmakers voted against passing the bill for a second reading when it was put to a voice vote by Deputy Speaker Idris Wase. Still in the Green Chamber, the House of Representatives has summoned the management of the Benin Electricity Distribution Company, BEDC, and the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, over 7 years power blackout in Musoga, Ejimo, Yawe, and other affected areas in Ethiopia West local government area of Delta State. The House also urged the NERC to be up to their responsibilities of supervising and ensuring that distribution companies all over the country do not continue to thrive in deceit and rip off of consumers. The resolution of the House were sequel to the adoption of a motion of urgent national importance moved at the plenary by Ben Roland, who said that for about 7 years, major parts of Ethiopia West, particularly Musoga and Ejimo Daro communities, have been in total blackout as a result of total failure by the BEDC to discharge their duties in the distribution of power and electricity to the affected areas, despite prompt collection of bills by the BEDC. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has urged the federal government to extend the Lagos-Kano Standard Gauge Railway line to the Sanusi railway station near Igara in the Ibarapa axis of Oyo State and make it functional. The resolution followed the adoption of a motion brought by Ajimola Morina calling attention to the economic importance of such an extension to the people of the area. Moving the motion, Morinas noted that in 2006, the federal government awarded an $8.3 billion contract to China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation to construct a standard gauge railway from Lagos to Kano. He also noted that due to the inability to secure funding for the whole project, the federal government decided to build the standard gauge line in segments and rehabilitate the narrow gauge line in the meantime. According to him, the project commenced with the construction of 187 kilometers segment from Abuja to Kaduna on February 20, 2011, and was completed and inaugurated on 26 July 2016. He either expressed worry that the federal government failed to rehabilitate the old railway lines or extend the new standard gauge railway lines to some key existing railway stations. Away from repeal laws that make it difficult for sex workers, people who inject drugs and other sexual minorities to access available HIV and AIDS treatment and care services. In a statement to mark this year's World AIDS Day with the theme "End Inequalities and AIDS," OFEM said to end AIDS in Nigeria, the people must join hands to end AIDS among all population segments. He also noted that laws and policies that reduce access to availability of HIV services by sex workers and other stigmatized and marginalized populations only worsen Nigeria's AIDS epidemics. Away from that, operatives of the Nigerian Police Force Special Tactical Squad have arrested 32 suspects for their complicity in the crimes of kidnapping, armed robbery, arms smuggling, illegal possession of weapons, trading in illicit drugs, trans-border car theft, rape, among others. According to Force Public Relations Officer CP Frank Mba, who disclosed this in a statement, the police recovered 19 AK-47 rifles, 1 GPMG, 3 revolver rifles, 2 G3 rifles, 1 SMG, 1 Beretta pistol, 453 rounds of live ammunition of different caliber, 12 magazines, and 17 stolen cars from the criminals during the follow-up investigations. He added that notable amongst the cases is the arrest of 6 notorious criminals involved in car theft in different parts of the country, particularly Nasarawa, Port Harcourt, FCT, Kebbi, and Zamfara states. Troops of Exercise Golden Dawn have foiled an attempt to abduct a group of doctors and nurses providing free health care for residents in Amajuisu local government area of Imo State. The Director of Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Onyema Nwachukwu, confirmed this in a statement. Nwachukwu said the troops had, in conjunction with the Nigerian Air Force, Quick Response Group, and the Nigerian Police, on receipt of actionable intelligence on the criminal plot, swiftly moved in and rescued the medical team. He said the medical team had been escorted to a safe location. On custom, terminal operators and other stakeholders have blamed the Nigeria Customs Service (NSC) for delaying the installation and deployment of Nortec mobile scanners delivered to the service at the nation's seaport for use. The chairman of the Seaport Terminal Operators Association of Nigeria, Dr. Vicky Hastrup, said customs inefficiency was responsible for more than 80% of the cost incurred by importers and agents at the seaport. They gave the submission at a town hall meeting organized by the League of Maritime Editors in Lagos. Hastrup, who said that the manual examination of cargoes has become a sore point in Nigeria's custom, administration added that continuous utilization of 100% manual cargo examination and clearance constitute a lot of bottlenecks in the system and are responsible for the huge cost of to move the country to the nation's birth to deepen the market. Speaking at the 2021 Capital Market Conference held in Abuja, Osinbajo expressed concern about the inability of fintech companies and startups to access funds from the capital market. He stated, however, that sustainability of Nigeria's fintech ecosystem required existing and emerging financial services startups to have access to capital market. According to him, attracting the fintech unicorns to the market as a viable option for capital raising would give more investors the opportunity to benefit from the growth of the companies and create wealth for the economy. In a separate development, federal government has reviewed travel protocol with an additional polymerase chain reaction PCR test imposed on inbound to contain the new OMICRON variant. The Presidential Steering Committee directed that passengers arriving in Nigeria are now required to conduct a PCR test 48 hours before embarking on their trips, besides taking another test on day 2 after arrival and another one 7 days after. They are also expected to self-isolate for 7 days. On economy, the National Economic Council has endorsed the Financial Bill 2022, which is expected to be passed along with the 2022 Appropriation Bill. The NEC meeting, which was presided over by the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, is composed of the governors, the Federal Capital Territory Minister, the Central Bank of Nigeria Governor, and other officials. A statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the Vice President on Media and Publicity, Laolu Akande, said highlights of the bill were presented to the Council by the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed. The minister said some of the proposed legislative charges covered domestic revenue mobilization, closing tax loopholes, public financial management, tax administration reforms, as well as international taxation issues. In the meantime, the Minister of Police Affairs, Dr. Mohammed Dingadi, has charged stakeholders to deliberate on strategies to shore up the internally generated revenue IGR by leveraging on changing technologies with a view to stimulating the economy and good governance in the country. A statement by the head press and public relations unit in the ministry, Bolaji Kazim, says the minister spoke at the opening ceremony of a 2-day stakeholder zonal conference on IGR with a theme, Strategies at Enhancing Internally Generated Revenue in Abuja. The minister, who was represented by the permanent secretary, Temitope Fashedemi, said fiscal resources are urgently needed to stimulate the economy and provide the necessary dividends of good governance, noting that leveraging on the fast pace of changing technology would help in recording accounts and reporting of revenue to block leakages, losses, and wastage. And back here in Akwa Ibom State Governor Udom Emmanuel has joined his Abia State counterpart, Dr. Okezie Ikpeazu, to perform the foundation-laying ceremony of a multi-faceted Health and Human Development Facility at Ikon 24th, Prince Sukara in Uyo local government area of Akwa Ibom State. Speaking at the event, Governor Emmanuel lauded the Board of Trustees Chairman, Pastor Basi Udo, for choosing the site for the project in Akwa Ibom State, expressing optimism that the project will, in the nearest future, change the face of the host community. Reaffirming support for the project, Governor Emmanuel said his government has awarded contract for the construction of the entire stretch of Prince Sukara Road to complement the facility, adding that as soon as the weather becomes favorable. On his part, Abia State Governor Okezie Ikpeazu described the initiative as a missionary work that would cater for health needs. Government area of Akwa Ibom State have called on Akwa Ibom State government to undertake bridge construction, access road, and drinkable water in the area. According to the villagers, the bridge in the area, which was collectively constructed by 3 villages, including Mbiabedi Kod Otuk, Atong Eben and Eyeredia villages was later demolished by a certain construction firm who promised reconstruction of the bridge. In an interaction with SpectrumTelevision, the people noted that aside the suffering of the people regarding the demolished bridge and lack of drinkable water, casualties have been recorded as people fell into the water as a result of the poor state of the place.
According to reports, 3 villages, including Mbiabeti Korotok, Atongeben, and Eyegedia, contributed resources to put up a mini bridge to connect Eyegedia and Ikototok together for ease of access. Youths in the affected community say that a certain construction company came with the promise to reconstruct a better bridge, but ended up demolishing their earlier constructed culvert, leaving the people in the area to suffer.
My name is Uyime Enokwan. I am the youth president of Mbiabeti Korotok. I want to plead with the state government that we are suffering from poor roads. I plead with Deacon Udum Emmanuel to come to our aid as we have suffered so much. I am Abraham Ekanem Jacob, the youth president of this village, Mbiabeti Korotok. Please, lack of roads has contributed to why we do not have a borehole in our village. That's why we drink this type of water. It's not good for us to drink this kind of water. The more we drink this, the more it causes malaria on our people. We plead with the government of the Udum Emmanuel to give us access road, water, because we lack drinkable water in this village. I'm sure that if we have good roads, there will be water. Business can also move if we have access road. Please, we need roads, and we ask Governor Udum Emmanuel to do this for us.
They, however, attributed lack of drinkable water in the areas to the inaccessible state of their roads, calling on the government to come to their aid and construct the bridge, access road and water in the area. I am Riayanekan reporting for SpectrumTelevision.
In the meantime, a field epidemiologist in the state, Dr. Nsisong Asanga, says tackling inequalities remains the sure way to becoming an AIDS-free nation by 2030. The epidemiologist dropped the hint today while speaking at Rise and Shine show on SpectrumTelevision. In an interaction to mark the World AIDS Day, which is celebrated December 1st of every year, Asanga noted that the essence of this year's World AIDS Day focuses on the inequalities that drive pandemic and the inequalities that drive AIDS, while the theme for the 2021 World HIV Day bordered on ending inequalities, AIDS, and pandemics. Asanga noted that one of the major challenges of fighting the spread of HIV was funding. She therefore appealed for more donors to join in the fight against the disease to ensure a world free from HIV and AIDS.
Over time, AIDS migrated from being a rich white man's disease to being a poor black woman's disease.
Oh my God.
And when you look at it that way, you can see that inequalities are one of the things that make this thing still to be with us today. However, we've had a lot of progress.
Yeah.
The rate of new infections are at an all-time low.
Okay.
The rate of prevention of transmission from mothers to babies is also at an all-time low.
Okay.
But we're not yet where we want to be, because we want to be HIV free by 2030.
Yeah,
and 2030 is just 8 years away.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't focus, if we don't get to these inequalities and tackle them head on, if we don't devote energy, money, resources, airtime, spectrum time to this pandemic, then there's no way we're going to meet. We hope to achieve Vision 2030 by having all hands on deck. So that means all the governments, all the civil organizations, churches, religious bodies, everybody's hands on deck. Whatever is your part to do, do it. If it's your part to give money towards free condoms, give it. If it's your part to tell your children the truth about sex education, tell it. If it's your part to make sure that your facility is a facility people can gladly come in and access services, please do it. Whatever it is, we all have a part. Even if your part is to tell your friend as she's going, baby, are you sure you have all you need to go out tonight?
I'm telling you.
Whatever is your part. So let's all take it like something we all have to fight.
That's true.
Yes. So that's the way we're going to get there.
Okay.
In Africa, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has lashed out at African countries that have restricted travel to and from Southern African states. Ramaphosa described the development as unfortunate, saying the nation should not have reacted like their former colonizers over the discovery of the new coronavirus variant Omicron. Rwanda, the Seychelles, Mauritius, Egypt, and Angola are some of the African countries that closed their borders soon after the discovery of the new variant. On the foreign scene, President Joe Biden will mark World AIDS Day with a speech laying out his vision for ending the epidemic in the United States by 2030. According to a senior Biden administration official, one of the innovations will be to accelerate participation of the private sector in a national effort as part of redoubling efforts to confront the HIV/AIDS epidemic, adding that focus will also be put on addressing social determinants of health that influence an individual's HIV risks or outcomes. Reports say the Biden shift aimed to aggressively reduce new HIV cases while increasing access to treatment. In the meantime, the United Nations says HIV infection rates are not slowing fast enough around the world to reach the goal of eradicating AIDS everywhere by 2030. Still on the foreign scene, the United Nations has urged countries of the world to move fast in ending inequalities that drive the HIV/AIDS pandemic as the world marks the 2021 AIDS Day today. The UNAIDS Executive Director, Winnie Brahima, in her speech said the world would also struggle to end the COVID-19 pandemic and would remain unprepared for the pandemic of the future if it does not come together to end the HIV and AIDS disease. She called on leaders to act boldly and together by bringing together cutting-edge science, delivering services that meet all people's needs, protecting human rights and sustaining adequate financing and policies to ensure fair and affordable access to science.
We must protect human rights and build trust in health systems and all public systems. It is these that will ensure that we close the inequality gaps and end AIDS. But they are too often applied unevenly, they are underfunded, and they are underappreciated. On this World AIDS Day, I salute the frontline communities who have pioneered the approaches shown to be most effective, who have driven the momentum for change, pushing our leaders to be bold. I urge you, activists, communities, keep pushing. And world leaders, let us work together urgently to tackle these challenges head on. I urge you, be courageous in matching your words with deeds. There is not a choice to be made between ending the AIDS pandemic that is raging today and preparing for the pandemics of tomorrow. The only successful approach will achieve both. As of now, we are not on track at all to achieve either. If we take on the inequalities which hold back progress, we can deliver on the promise to end AIDS by 2030.
Still to come in the news, former British #1 Johanna Konta has announced her retirement from tennis. Stay with us. Thanks for staying tuned. In our business news, Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Pegason, has decried the increasing cost of food and cooking gas in the country. In a statement signed by its president Festus Osifo and General Secretary Lumumba Okumbawa, the union alleged that the nation was degenerating into a land plagued with hunger. It observed that the people's purchasing power had worsened as the prices of food in the market continued to rise in the last 3 years. Director General of the National Agency for the Control of AIDS, Gambo Aliyu, has highlighted ways the human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, can be stopped in Nigeria. During a televised interview, Aliyu said that the first step was to eliminate the mother-to-child transmission to achieve a generation free of HIV. According to him, the more people living with HIV and AIDS are identified, the more the spread of the virus is being curbed. The Director General also identified commercial sex workers, transgender and drug users to be at high risk of contracting the virus. On a health, Delta Governor Ifeanyi Okonwa has called on Nigerians to take the COVID-19 vaccine, saying that vaccination is safe and that no death has been recorded as a result of administration of the vaccines in the country. Okonwa made the call at his quarterly interaction with journalists on Tuesday, November 30th in Asaba. He said that it has become very imperative for Nigerians to embrace vaccines, especially with the Omicron and Delta variant currently ravaging the world. He stated that there is no shortage of vaccines in the state and the country and urged the people to take the vaccines as they are safe on contributory health insurance. The governor said the Delta model is being adopted by other states, adding that over 1 million enrollers are currently engaged in the scheme. On a COVID update, 105 new cases of COVID-19 have been confirmed in Nigeria in the last 24 hours, putting the country's new total at 214,218. Making up the fresh infections are 43 cases in Lagos State, 21 in Gombe, 16 in the FCT, 10 in Niger State, 6 in Rivers, 5 in Plateau, 2 in Edo, and 1 each in Bauchi and Kano. 207,218 persons have so far been discharged, while 2,977 others have died from the virus. On sport, former British #1 Johanna Konta has announced her retirement from tennis today. The 30-year-old has struggled with persistent knee trouble over the past couple of seasons and has slipped to 113 in the world ranking, a far cry from her career high of #4. Konta, who reached the semi-finals of the 3 of the 4 majors plus the quarterfinals of the US Open, made her announcement on social media with a post headline, "Grateful." Recall that in June, Konta won the Nottingham Open, becoming the first British woman to lift a WTA title on home soil since Sue Becker in 1981. On entertainment, American rapper Kanye West and his estranged wife Kim Kardashian were among those present at the tribute ceremony held for the late fashion designer Virgil Abloh. The estranged couple kept a united front at the event as they show up with their first daughter, Northwest, where they paid tribute to the late creative director at the Spring-Summer 2022 collection in Miami on Tuesday, November 30th, 2021. Recall that Kanye has recently made moves to get his wife back. And that's all we have for you at this time. Be sure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, SpectrumTV.ng. You've been watching Spectrum News at 4. I am Francis Edet saying enjoy the rest of your day.